Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Jackie Cation. You're listening to the Dork Forest. You know the websites, JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, thedorkforest.com if you enjoyed Determiner. The credits, Mike Ruekberg, who composed the theme to the Dork Forest, just sang it with his girlfriend, Sarah Cohen. Mike will sing again at the end, Mexican Hat Dance. He didn't write it, but he wrote them words, and they're pretty darn funny. You're doing good work, donating. You can donate to the show on JackieCation.com or DorkForest.com. And I'm looking for $100 a year from everybody, which I've been told is $10 a month, because in November and December, I ask that you not donate and you just give to a local food bank or something. But for some reason, I still want the $1.77 that would be each month. So if you give me $10 a month, which I haven't made easy, but just hit the donate button and donate if you want. I have a couple more magnets. Otherwise, you'll get a sticker or a bookmark or a note saying thank you. Thank you for donating. If you enjoy the show, give whatever you can. And if you can't give, use the Amazon banner on JackieCation.com. Order through Amazon, which we all do, by clicking on the Amazon banner on the right-hand side above a video of me talking. And I get a kickback. So do that. The other thing you could do is just order from the merch page, the store on JackieCation.com. You can get a Ranger of the Dork Forest t-shirt, a Dork Forest t-shirt designed by Brett Chambers, or you can get a CD or my new DVD. My new DVD, of course, is This Will Make an Excellent Horcrux. Also available for $5 download on allthingsrecords.com/JackieCation. $5 download. You can get a hard copy at my website. Other than that, it's October, and so I will be doing a lot of shows in Los Angeles. I'm home a lot this month. The only thing I'm doing on the road is I'm doing a couple of dates with Maria Bamford in St. Louis and Chicago. And then other than that, all of October, I am in Los Angeles, California, with my loved one, Andy Ashcraft, and I'm very happy about it. Okay, now let's get to it. But before that, you will hear an exciting ad from my sister, Darla Kashian, or Kashian, or however she's pronouncing it. But all we know is she's a smarty Magoo. So if you need an investment person, Darla's your go-to. Let us begin.
At RBC Wealth Management, social responsibility starts at the top. As a part of the Royal Bank of Canada, RBC has been recognized among the world's financial, social, and environmental corporate leaders. Our sense of responsibility extends to our reputation for putting clients' interests first. My personal commitment is to help you achieve your financial goals by also considering sustainable and responsible investing strategies. To learn more, visit www.darlakashian.com. RBC Wealth Management, a division of RBC Capital Markets, LLC. Member NYSE, FINRA, SIPC.
Hey, it's Jackie Cation. It's the first Dork Forest on a bus. I am on the Brian Regan tour bus. We are driving from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington, doing shows, and we've just done a lovely theater in Portland, Oregon. I'm sitting here with Brian Regan, at Brian Regan Comic on Twitter, of course, and BrianRegan.com. Hello and welcome to your own bus.
Hey, Jackie. How are you, man?
I'm good.
I'm glad you're with me this weekend. You're a very funny woman.
This is a blast.
You make me laugh a lot, and so thanks for being on the weekend.
Oh, thank you so much. This is a mutual admiration society so far, and it's great.
See, I forced you into a compliment on me. You know, how could you just take that and then not, come back, you know?
Exactly. Yes, you're right, Brian. I'm amazing. And
that would have been interesting.
You've chosen
Yes,
wisely.
I am really good. All right, let's get into the question.
Let's get into it. Well, it's the Dork Forest, so what I do is I usually ask people what their dorkdom is, and when we were talking about it, you were like, I don't know. And then I realized you do at least 15 minutes about courtesy, and you're like, oh, I could talk about lines, people, how they stand in line. So let's jump into that, and then we'll backpedal, and then we'll go forward, and then the hour will be over almost immediately.
Very good. I have self-diagnosed myself as having line anxiety.
Line anxiety?
I have line anxiety. I've never heard
Of anyone else?
anyone ever having this. I would imagine I'm probably not the only person, but I've never read anything about it. I've never seen it in a psychology magazine or anything like that. But I definitely have a very serious anxiety when it comes to lines. Literal lines. People waiting in line, having to get in line, things like that.
So when you are preparing to get in line, let's
Yes.
say you go to some sort of event, like a Starbucks.
Yes.
Not that that's an event.
It's like going to the circus, Starbucks.
Starbucks, and you have to get in line to go to a Starbucks, and what makes you anxious? The fact that it's not going to go well? That you don't know where to get in line, how to form it?
It has to do with how clear the line is. How clear is it? Where's the front of the line? Where's the back of the line?
Do we have to trust humanity, knowing
I don't want
who's
to trust.
next?
I don't want to trust humanity. I want
Right.
there to be ropes,
Right.
and I want there to be signs because I don't trust human beings to do it right. That's where the anxiety kicks in.
Okay.
Is when
There's
the
just
other
milling.
if it's vague or like if it's unclear in any way,
Right.
my tension begins.
And you're like, how will we know?
Yes, and I don't know if this is a good place to jump in, but when I told you, I know about the Dork Forest. I think
Yep.
it's a great idea, and
Yep.
you had talked to me about it, and I said, yeah, I'd love to do one, and I was like scratching in my head trying to think like what. I don't know anything. I don't know anything
No.
about anything. I don't know anything that I could talk
It's a
about
little
for
sweeping,
an
sure.
hour.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I thought, well, I've got this weird little line anxiety
Right.
thing that might be interesting to somebody out there.
Yeah.
Then after I told you that I wanted to do that, I wanted to listen to one of the podcasts.
Oh my God. And who did you pick?
So I pick,
Why would you pick Greg Proops?
I picked Greg Proops, who is fantastic, and he
guy's a
talks about
walking-
the Roman civilization.
Yes.
And he knows it inside and out, and he's
Yeah.
got facts and opinions. He knows how it rose and how it fell.
Right.
And I'm like, how in the hell
Are we
am I going to talk about Starbucks lines?
But the thing is none of us should compare ourselves to Greg Proops, and
That's
the
true.
fact
It's
that his
unfair.
brain has it's a stacking. The guy's an encyclopedia. There's another guy. You really want to get your hopes up of not knowing how to follow somebody. Listen to Guy Branum's The History of Canadian Politics.
Wow.
That's an episode of the Dork Forest as well.
I would love to listen to that.
It's a good one, but what we're talking about today, we're talking about the milling of people trying to figure out who gets to go next.
Yes, and I've had tense situations in my life. Probably the handful of times I've had confrontations have taken place in and around lines.
Okay.
That's where my little snapping point comes in.
That's where the line is drawn, where you're like, no, you
Yes.
are not next.
Correct.
And you had,
And I don't know, and there are times when I can contain myself,
right, you just sort of,
but there are times when I can't, when I've just had enough, and the world around me needs to know that
that person is not next.
that person is not next.
How do we know? So when you go in, here's the basic question about lines for me. Do you prefer a bank situation where we're all there's one line and then you go to the next available teller, or do you like a more grocery style where there's one person at a register and there's a line of people behind that person?
I definitely like the one line that forks at the end.
Okay.
That's why I will go to Wendy's before I will go to McDonald's,
Okay.
having nothing to do with the food.
Right.
I know that my tension won't rise. When I go into Wendy's, they have the snaking line.
Right.
And I know if I'm the third person in the Wendy's, I'm going to be the third person served. And if I'm the fifth person, I'll be the fifth person served.
Right.
And if I'm in the 12th, I'll be the 12th person served.
Right.
If you go into McDonald's, you don't have any comfort. They have 4 or 5 different registers.
Yep.
And it's a mob of people standing around. And you have to guess, well, I'll get behind this guy over here. And then
Right.
somebody else gets over here. And then when you see that the line that you didn't choose is moving more quickly than you,
Right.
whatever
Right.
those fluids inside of me
Right.
start bubbling.
Right. You're like, oh, well.
They start bubbling.
Because the thing is what you're guessing at is the efficiency of the person on the other end of the register.
That's part of it. And
Yeah.
also it's the complication of the order of the people that you're behind.
Right.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, you could luck out and get behind a guy that wants, a
one-
small soda.
That's it.
And then the guy behind him wants one small fry. And
Right.
then you're next. But I don't want to be pessimistic because I sometimes pick the right ones, but sometimes you'll get unlucky and
Right.
pick the one that you realize they're buying lunch for their office.
Right. What- I
You're
like-
behind the guy that's buying lunch for the 4th and 5th floor over at the bank. And you're next, and the line to your right and the line to your left, they're just scooting and getting their food, and you're watching them eat fries, and they're laughing and enjoying life, and I'm like, this guy's got to feed his bank floors.
Right. My favorite
How
part.
can anybody be happy? How can anybody be happy in this world?
Where is the joy?
There's
Where's
no
the
joy in this world. If there's a
like-
God, that's going to be the first thing I'm going to ask, unless I have to get in line to talk to him.
Right.
If I get up
Pearly
there
gates.
and find out that he's got a McDonald's kind of line, I'm
Yeah.
going to go, send me down.
Exactly.
I can't. I don't want to. I don't want to come in
That guy
here.
probably forks because the devil gonna have a fork. And but I'll say this: my favorite thing was when you were like, "I don't mean to be pessimistic. Sometimes I get in a good line."
Yeah, that's true.
But that's
I don't
your-
have this down thing on myself
No.
like a Ziggy complex where I always get the bad line.
Right.
Sometimes I get the good line.
No, you're out there living in the moment. But sometimes the line drives you crazy.
Yes.
So here's what I will say about your choice of Wendy's. They never freeze their meat. They get it every day, fresh. McDonald's, frozen meat.
I used to
So-
work at Wendy's when I was in college. I worked
That was
at
a day
Wendy's.
job? That was one of your first jobs?
It was one of my first jobs,
right.
and I liked the place.
It'll build character working
Mm-hmm.
in fast food. I worked at a hot dog stand. It's all about
There's time to
numbers.
lean. There's time to clean.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's one of the.
You are not
yeah.
allowed to not work.
No. If you're not doing anything, you might.
How do you tell somebody that you're paying the legal minimum that you could get away with? So if I paid you 1 penny less, I could go to jail.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay you the exact legal minimum, and I'm going to tell you, you better not stop.
Right. You have to
work
keep going
non-stop
7.5 hours
until your break.
Yes. And the worst. I will say this is, I was assistant manager. That's right. I was part of the problem at the hot dog stand. And we had a couple of kids working for us, and I was like, you can laugh, you can joke, you can have the time of your lives, but wipe down the ketchup area while you do that. That'd be great. And
Can I tell a little aside story?
Please.
This doesn't have to do with lines, but I worked at Wendy's when I was in college, and a buddy of mine also worked at Wendy's, and you were allowed like one cheeseburger like every 4 hours or whatever.
okay.
I'm going to tell a story here where I wasn't very honest.
Well,
Our morals grow
Giant-
as we go through life.
right. Finally, the huge reveal of Brian Regan taking
Here's
a
my-
spare burger.
My friend and I would take turns. The manager would be in the office, like in the back. And then you had the front area where people come in and get their burgers and stuff like that. So we had a system where one of us would make a triple burger. You're not
right.
allowed to have a triple. And he would go into the front area and put everything he wanted on it and wolf down his triple, while the other one would stand guard, like in between the front area and the back area,
Right.
and just pretend to stir ketchup. And you just stand there and stir ketchup with your right eye peripherally back at the manager's door while your friend is wolfing down a triple cheeseburger. And then as soon as the manager came out, you would like smash the spoon into the
Right.
thing like you were done stirring the ketchup.
Yep.
Your friend knew, okay, and he would just throw the rest of the triple into the trash can before the manager came around.
Right. Eat as much as he could.
Yes.
And then be done.
And then we'd
the
switch,
old
and
switch.
then we'd switch.
And that ketchup was the best stirred ketchup in all of Florida.
Yeah, people don't know why the ketchup is so good. At
the
Wendy's,
best.
it's so stirred.
It's so. That is crazy. What, yeah, okay, so I like, but now this is a good one, because where did the courtesy, I mean, like, we're all raised knowing to be polite. Mm-hmm. You know, like, when I was a kid, we were always told we had to call the neighbors Mrs. whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, you never called adults by their first name. It just wasn't done. And we were all pretty polite kids for being little garanimals that we were. And, but is that where you got it?
I don't
From
know.
Your folks, or?
You know, we were raised really well, I think. You know, my parents instilled the if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all philosophy. And I try to adhere to that.
Thank you. And
yeah, please and thank you and stuff like that. When I was in college, I got a job where my dad worked, like as a clerk in the summer. Mm-hmm. And my dad would carpool with another guy. And so my dad and the other guy were in the front seat, and I was in the back seat going to work, and I'm 19 years old. And he called his friend John.
Right.
So I told a story, and I called his friend John. And then that night, my dad sat me down and said, "You don't call him John. You call him Mr. Stark."
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
And I remember thinking, wow, okay, there's
all
certain...
right. I'm 19.
There's certain things I have to learn, I guess.
Yeah. But I think that, like, because you were talking about that quote that you saw, was it in an airport? The Muhammad Ali?
I saw a quote on a plane. They were just putting quotes up.
Yeah.
And of different people. And this one was attributed to Muhammad Ali. And I don't know if it's the boxer or the person who Muhammad Ali got his name from.
Right.
But the quote was, if I'm the same person at age 50 that I was at age 20, then I've wasted 30 years of my life.
Right.
And that kind of struck me like, yes,
yeah.
we're allowed to grow. We're allowed to make mistakes.
Right. And I think we all learned that, you know, you should definitely be more courteous as you go along. I mean, the skipping in line thing, like you have the bit about, so there's the line about at Disneyland. Mm-hmm. That is what about how long we're standing in line at Disneyland? You know, like, we're all so patient now. We'll stand in line for an hour and 15 minutes to go take a ride.
That doesn't even bother me that much. If it's clear and organized.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to stand in line for
forever,
but,
right?
But at least I don't have the tension.
Right.
I'll tell you what, when I'm at Disneyland or Disney World with my kids.
Right.
I am not comfortable until you get to the ropes.
Okay.
Because sometimes the line extends beyond the ropes, and it's this murky, vague thing of
free for all.
Well, where's the back of this? Mm-hmm. Where do you draw the imaginary line through people?
Right.
And some people kind of just walk up to where the ropes are and step in front of people who have been milling around thinking they were in some type of line.
Right.
I know I'm coming off as some strange... I want one other person out there, just
right.
one, to be able to relate.
Jackie@JackieCation.com.
To be able to relate to this.
I think that we can. Here's what I do. Southwest Airlines has a thing where you get a number.
Yes.
And it's A 1 through 30, B 31 through 60.
Yes.
Or A 31 through 60, and then they do that for B and C. Mm-hmm. Now, when I get into line with my card, mm-hmm. and I'm B41, I'm already disappointed. But here's the thing. I will announce I'm B41. What I would like to hear from the people around me is I'm B40 and I'm B42. So that I can stand between those two people. And, because I do want that. Because I think that there are people who cheat.
Yes.
And they skip in front because they're like, well, we're all going on the same place. I'm like, yeah, but not on Southwest Airlines.
Yeah. I that expression bugs me when you hear people going, we're all going to the same place. We're all going to get there at the same time. Yeah, but I want overhead rack space.
Right. I need to put my bag up high.
I don't care if we're all landing at the same time. I want to be happy from now till then.
Right, exactly. And yeah, and what I do is because what you mentioned in your act was the thing about people wearing backpacks as they go on. I'm very conscious of where my backpack is now. Yeah. All I needed was for it to be pointed out. You would have thought I would have noticed that I was hitting people.
You were one of the people hitting people.
I was the people hitting people.
I got hit. We flew today.
Yeah.
I got hit today, not by a backpack, a woman's purse. She was just over her shoulder and just
whack.
Yeah, she was waiting in line. They weren't moving, and she just kept was dancing in place, and the thing hit me 3 times.
Oh.
What you're carrying is part of your person. You're responsible for it.
All
I don't
your
care if
space.
it's part of your human flesh.
Right.
You're responsible for everything on you. And if it hits other human beings, then you're not being cool.
Yeah, you're not. You just got to be aware of your surroundings, and you got to make sure. It is nice if you think about where you are.
Yes.
In a line or in, and when I go to the.
Can I jump in?
Please.
I want to tell you a line. This is a line story. I have
Excellent. This is perfect.
I have a bunch of
you
line
have several
stories.
Lines. Please begin.
This has to do with is it 2 lines or is it one that forks?
Okay.
This was before you could go down. Remember when you could go at the airport, you could go down and check in at the gate.
Yeah.
You didn't have to check in out front. You could go in and check in at the gate. So I was going to go check in at the gate. So I go down there, and they have the little podium thing, and there's 2 reservationists or whatever you call them that work there.
Yep.
But there was only one working at the time.
Okay.
Okay, so it's 2 can be there, but only one is working there.
Right. There's only one person.
So a line forms in front of this one person.
Yeah.
There's 20 people in the line. I'm 15th.
Right.
Okay, and we're all standing in a straight line straight to the one reservationist.
Yep.
Well, another reservationist walks up. Now, there are 2 reservationists, but there's one line.
Dun, dun,
So the person who's at the next in line up in the front goes over, which is correct, right?
That seems the correct way to do it.
And everybody just respects the fact that this one line is now forking.
Yep.
But the line doesn't step over to stand between the 2. It's still lined up with this one person.
Yeah.
Even though we all know this is
Now
the one
we're
line
doing
and we will
this.
fork when we're next.
Yes.
Well, a woman business traveler walks up and she walks all around us and she walks over and she stands behind the person who's now where
Being
there's
served.
no other line. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's this one long line and now there's 2. So she thinks she's going to be next over here. So I'm waiting. Now, here's part of the line anxiety.
Yeah.
The person closest to me is the person you're the one that needs to speak up.
Yeah.
You're defending us.
Right.
This line is a unit.
Yep.
You're the one closest to the person who's
your-
making the mistake. It's
Yep.
your job to let her know that
Rise to the occasion.
That person didn't rise to the occasion, nor did the next person, nor did anyone.
Right.
Well, my juices can't handle this.
Right. Right.
And I can't let this slide. So I said, excuse me, ma'am, nice and loud and clear.
Yep.
I said, we have a line here.
Yeah.
We have a line here. And she says, oh, no. You're in that line. I'm in this line.
Oh, gutsy stuff.
To which I said, oh, so you think we all like to wait in long lines. You're the only one who has figured out that it's better to wait in short lines. We're all stupid. And we all think, we all want to wait in long lines. You're the only one who's figured that out, that it's better to wait in a short line. That's what I said.
Yeah. How was that received?
She got embarrassed, and she walked to the back of the line.
Oh, there we go. You were part of the village that was helping to raise that lady. I don't know why that lady needed to be raised.
I can't, that stuff cannot fly with me.
It doesn't even make any sense. The only way that it would have made sense is if she would have said, oh, I wasn't thinking, so sorry, didn't see my surroundings, and then got in the other line.
That would have
then
been
it would have been fine. But for her to say, oh no, starting a new line.
Yeah, no, I'm in this line. You're all in that line. Oh, okay.
Did you get an applause break? Anything?
No. I realize when I do speak up in these situations, I'm
Right.
kind of a lone wolf.
Yeah.
I've had people whisper to me afterwards, yeah, you were right. It's like, well, why didn't you back me publicly?
I need a little more support.
Back me publicly, not after the fact with a whisper.
Yeah. This is
So I kind of lone wolf these.
Yeah. I will sometimes do that where I think that was polite, and then you tried to make a joke that was funny, but also seriously you have to know that you're wrong. kind of thing, where you had said the clear thing and then you said the joke thing that made it clear again that she was wrong. What I tend to do is I try to do that second thing, but then I think I sometimes hit too hard. And I make the person genuinely angry. And there's a line, is what I'm saying. And sometimes I...
Yeah, but I think when I was being sarcastic, this wasn't for her to be included in the laugh. I don't think she was like,
no.
this is funny for all of us. I mean, clearly she was the butt of this joke.
Yes.
But
because it was maddening.
I was upset.
Yes. You got another one? You got another
I'm looking
line?
at my notes. Mm-hmm. My line notes.
Notes about the way we line up. We're here with Brian Regan, ladies and gentlemen, talking about how people gather and then get served in different situations.
Okay, here we go. I was, this is just recently. Hertz rental car.
Okay.
I
Another sponsor of the Dork
I
Forest.
love Hertz rental car.
Yep. That's your go-to.
I like Hertz Gold.
Okay.
But they made a mistake recently that had to do with lines.
Yes.
I was with my kids, flew to Miami, went to Hertz. You know, you get off the plane, you got your luggage, you go to the board. There's your name and a space number.
Okay.
Okay, that's the way they do it with Hertz Gold.
Oh, right. If you do it often enough, you can just go get a car.
Yeah,
right?
you join their Gold program.
I'm in National.
Okay,
There you
so
go.
probably
Yeah.
a similar thing.
Similar thing.
So get off the plane, go see the big board, Regan,
Yes.
Regan,
Yep.
number 29. Okay, kids, let's go find space number 29. We go over to space 29, and it's I had ordered a SUV, but it was like a van kind of thing.
Okay.
But it was going to work fine. I didn't care one way or the other. So I said, but just to be safe, I said, let me go back to that board.
Right.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong number. I go back to the board. Regan, Brian Regan, 29.
Yep.
I go back. 29 is right over the van.
Yep.
All right, let's load up the van. We load up the van, and then you drive around to where you have to drive off the lot, and you go up to the
box.
the person there. And the woman comes up and says, did you upgrade your car? And I said, no, I didn't upgrade my car. I picked the car that was in the spot. She goes, no, this is not supposed to be your car. This is an upgrade. And I said, well, whatever it is, that's fine. I'll pay for it. This car will work. She said, no, you have to go inside and get in line and approve the upgrade. I said, I'm in the car that you guys told me to get in.
Right.
You had my name.
Yeah.
And this number.
Right.
I'm the guy. I'm Brian Regan.
Right.
And this was in 29. I said, this is the car I want to drive. And she said, no, you have to go over there. I said, I'm not going over there.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not going over there.
Can't do it.
I'm not going over there.
Right.
You guys made a mistake. I'm fine with this. Even if I'll pay more for the car, I don't care. I want to go. She refused. She wouldn't let me. She wouldn't open up the thing. She made me drive over to this check-in area.
Yep.
And I walk in, and there's a line. There's a line. So I have to now get in line when I was seconds from escaping into a world of happiness. And my kids know how, so I'm fuming.
Right.
I'm fuming. I get out of the car. I walk in, and I see this line, and I yell as I walk in.
Right.
I'm not happy.
Okay.
I swear that's true.
Will you please high five me?
I swear that's what I did.
Sometimes it isn't always the wisest choice, but it has to be. And I will say this, if anybody is out there thinking that was an overreaction, you try and travel 3 times a week, and you've put in enough time with these companies that you're supposed to be able to do this efficiently. And you don't want to snap. You want to be nice to everyone.
Try to be, just do your job. And if you make a mistake, that's okay, but just
Mistakes
own up to
happen.
it and let's move along. But
But
when your mistake causes me inconvenience.
A half an hour? And a half an hour can matter so much when there's so much traveling that has to be done even when you've arrived.
I was furious. I walked in and I
So
yelled.
you yelled at
I yelled, "I'm not happy." That's how I wanted to enter. I entered the building.
That's what you brought into the building. Yep.
So everyone turns and looks. Now they don't realize what had just gone down,
Right.
And they look at the guy who apparently is not happy.
Clearly not.
He's clearly not happy. So, some supervisor reservationist
Right. Steps forward, hopefully.
let me cut the line.
Yep.
Which now, if I was the person in the line,
Right. Roll.
I would have been furious at that. You know what I mean?
Right. You're like, why?
But I realize, I'm knowing that this is correct because I wasn't even supposed to be in a line.
You were not.
I'm Hertz Gold. I don't have to wait in line.
Right. There was a reason why.
Yeah, so I went up and this woman was very skilled at she was trained and skilled at bringing me down.
Okay. Oh, good.
She was very good. And I said, and I walked up to her and she said, "Come over here." I said, "Listen, I got in a car and I tried to explain it that I had my number, my name." She said, "I'm going to make this right and just calm down. I'm going to make you happy." And
Just
I'm like,
talked you off the ledge.
"So how do I yell when someone says she's going to make it right?"
Right.
She made it right in about 2 minutes. Let me keep the car. I said, "I'm not taking all that luggage out."
Yeah.
I said, "I'm not doing that."
Right.
So she made it right and went on and I went to McDonald's and I got in another line and I got a bazooka.
Right. It was Falling Down. All of a sudden, it was the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
But was that the trip where you and Andy, the guy Andy, couldn't get we all couldn't get served. There was a like a Sonic. Like there was
You and Andy, our tour manager?
Yeah, Andy, the tour manager. You guys went in to go get, and you stood around, and then Andy tried to get the manager to pay attention, and there was just people talking to each other.
Oh, yeah. No, that was, that's another line story. That was, I don't know if I should say the name of this.
Oh, what the heck?
restaurant.
I mean,
What
the
the
thing
heck?
is, it doesn't mean
It was Steak and Shake.
It was a steak. That was right. It was
a Steak and Shake.
Right, and you're just trying to feed the kids.
And I love Steak and Shake.
Right.
And I walked into Steak and Shake with Andy, our tour manager.
Right.
And it's during the day. We're traveling from one venue to the next. And usually there's like a take-home-a-sack area.
Okay.
It's like a Native American kind of joke on a...
Okay.
That's what they call it, take-home-a-sack, where you get your food to go.
Okay.
So we walked up to that counter, and no one came over. And no one came over, and no one came over.
15 minutes.
Yeah, and no one came over, and no one came over. And then Andy finally goes over and talks to somebody in the back and says, "Hey, we're out in the front. We're trying to get some food." And the guy, nods and then just continues to do nothing.
Right.
And then that guy goes over to the counter, and then there are people who were seated there who said, "We've been here for 20 minutes, and we've already ordered 20 minutes ago, and we haven't been served," to us.
Right.
We're like, "Wow, this is weird." So then that guy that Andy talked to finally goes in the back and just starts working the grill, but still doesn't. We're standing 10 feet from him, and he doesn't come over to take our order or ask somebody else to come take our order. So the Brian Regan line anxiety is churning and boiling and
creating
an
ulcer and
just bad things.
Yeah.
So I said, "Excuse me, sir. Is anyone going to come help us?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, that's not my job. That's not my job to take orders."
Right.
And I said, "Well, whose job is it?"
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm not sure." And then he just gets back to working the grill.
I'm not sure.
And I said, "We're leaving. We're going someplace else where we can be served. And you guys have a great, great system here. Good luck with this wonderful system." And I walked out.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was a bad. Let's talk about a good line.
Let me just say this, though. I never say something derogatory about the person or, you know what I mean? It's anger, but it's never you're an idiot.
Not happy.
I'm happy with this system.
The system
the situation, and you're part of it.
Right.
But I don't get personal.
Right. No, you don't. Yeah, you weren't even. You were just like, I don't understand why that guy is not allowed to take our order, but clearly he is not. And so we are not allowed to order then, and so we will go somewhere else.
Well, I mean, isn't there some system in place where go find who does do this? And if that person's on break, get somebody else to do this. Just nobody's going to do anything?
Nobody.
No,
Yeah,
nobody's
that's
going
crazy.
to, no one's going to come over here.
Right. That's insane.
It was, I still can't believe it.
Yeah. It's because it can be. I once went to a Subway sandwich shop, and there was a line, and there was only one guy working, and he was a joy to behold, quite honestly, because what he did was, let's say there were 4 of us, and then there were 4 people behind us. He took 4 orders. He made those 4 sandwiches. He gave them to us, rang us out, went back, took 4 more orders. Because I sat and I ate my Subway sandwich, and I watched him do this, and I don't know why he was the only one working there.
But he was doing a good job.
But he was doing an amazing job where he could micromanage the line.
That's terrific. And that happens.
Yeah.
And that happens. My dad tells this great story of he went to go watch a football game that one of his kids, I don't know if it was me or one of my older brothers.
Right.
And it was down in Key West. So on the way back, everybody stopped at this little diner. Mm-hmm. And there were 2 waitresses working in the diner. Okay? And one of the waitresses now the diner's packed. It had been completely empty, and it was all these buses from these high school fans and football players. We all go into this diner. Right. One waitress on one side, one waitress on the other side. And he watched the 2 waitresses, and one waitress would go up and go, "Hi, can I take your order?" It's like, "I'll have a coffee and a donut." She'd write the whole thing down. She'd go get 1 coffee. She'd go get 1 donut. And then she'd go to the next person. "How about you?" "I'll have a coffee and a donut." Okay, she'd write it down, go get a coffee, go get a donut. The waitress on the other side just kind of guessed that everybody wanted a coffee and a donut.
Right.
Threw 15 plates down, put 15 donuts down, put 15 cups down, poured them all with coffee. Everybody had coffee and donuts in about 2 minutes.
Right.
And it's like, figure out your situation.
Right.
And try to cut some steps. Try to...
Yeah. Be aware of your surroundings. That is the entire... I think it's in some ways and it's a learned skill, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's probably people that are born doing it better than other people, but you can learn how to do this.
Yes, but here's the problem. Sometimes a person is trained to do it a way that could be efficient under other circumstances, but it's not efficient in certain circumstances. And instead of allowing the employees to call an audible and not do it the way they're trained, they still do it the way they're trained. Here's something that drives me up a wall when you're waiting to check into a hotel, okay, and there's 15 people in line, business travelers. They just want their key, and they want to get in their room and rest.
Yep.
And the person behind the counter has to tell every single person about happy hour.
And breakfast. And where the...
And you're hearing the spiel over and over, and they give the key, and they say to the person, "Now we want you to know we have happy hour from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and we have different kinds of wines, and there are cheeses, and you can come down here for happy hour, and then we also have breakfast. It's continental breakfast. It goes from 6 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock in the morning.
It's over in that room, and
that's over there. You use your key to get in there.
Yeah, they got a cup of waffle.
Hey, tell us all that.
Right, we all know now.
Tell us, just go, hey, everybody listen. Happy hour 5 to 7, continental breakfast 7 to 9. I'm going to get everybody their keys so you can get to your room and relax.
Yeah.
Let your employees do that.
Yeah. And they're clearly not. They have not.
No, they do it the way they're trained, and they're trained to tell everybody individually.
Yeah.
So these companies need to take the handcuffs off their employees and let them do what's right in the trenches.
Right. Because they know people aren't idiots.
I'm getting angry. I'm getting angry.
Some coffee?
Yeah. We made coffee. Like, can I pour you a cup?
Yeah. Pour me a cup. I'll
you
take
like
it.
Black? What do you like?
If you have any dairy, I'll take a little milk in it.
Okay. I'll be
Rangers,
right with you.
what you should know is that I like coffee with a little milk in it. To my knowledge, Brian Regan enjoys a black cup of coffee. Just black, regular cup of coffee, like an adult. My brother Phil has always said to me, when are you learn to drink coffee like an adult, Jackie? And I was like, well, when are you going to stop talking to me about coffee consumption?
I drink my coffee black. Unless I walk into the place and see some vague, murky line, then I don't have coffee. Then I leave.
You don't. Then there's no coffee that is drank at all. So,
Black.
yours is black.
With you in a moment.
I'm going to let you hold forth, and I'll dress that coffee up with some dairy.
All right, I'm going to be filling in here like Jackie is pulling some type of creamer or milk out to lighten up her coffee. We're hoping that this podcast will come out in a way where people can go buy it, and you can just go wait in line. You go wait in a big, long, vague, murky, smudgy, unclear line, and you can purchase this podcast.
I'll tell you something about the podcast situation. They just automatically get dropped into their apps, and they just get it's dorkforest.com and iTunes, right? So if you
So there's no
subscribe-
purchase of it.
Yeah, there's no purchase. It's all free. They should donate. They know that, though. Oh, they know it.
You would be a multi-millionaire if you would make people pay for these.
I could.
You know what you do?
What do I do?
Charge $2,500
Per episode.
for a listen,
Okay.
and
Just
then you
one
figure,
listen.
and then if a lot of people
Right?
pay that, next thing you know, you're like a millionaire. You're like a multi-millionaire.
It's crazy. Is it? Are you doing
It's
math?
simple math. It's
What do
simple
you-
math.
Okay. Are you carrying like a 5 or something? How you doing it? What's it? How do you? All right.
That's
I
how
see
people
what's
make
happening.
millions of dollars. You figured out that way.
So weird.
Can I tell you my next line thing?
Yep. Please do.
Here's another pet peeve.
Another pet. What kind of job? We've done a good job here. We've done fast food. We've done banks. We've done
Airports.
airports. Yeah.
This is
What is the
this
setting?
covers all of them.
Okay.
I see it more at airports because I'm traveling all the time.
Right.
It's the line or the sign for the line.
Right.
Sometimes some genius
Right.
is sitting down and they say, let's design the sign which shows everybody where these lines are.
Right.
Let's design it so it's 4 feet from the floor.
Okay.
So if one person is past the sign, no one can see it.
Right. They're just
No
blocking
one
the
can
sign.
see it.
Okay.
How in the world doesn't somebody go up to that guy's like little design there and going, oh, that design, what is that, 4 feet off the ground? Why don't you make it like 8 feet off the ground?
Right.
So instead of sometimes nobody being able to see it, then everybody can see it.
Doesn't
Wouldn't that
matter.
be better?
That'd be better.
Wouldn't that be better that if everybody knows where the lines are instead of nobody?
Right. Right. You got to know where the line is if you're going to try to get something done.
You ever get to an airport and you just see these long snaking things, the whether it's a first class line or the TSA line or
Right.
the other line,
Right, to
and the
drop your
signs are
luggage off.
4 feet up and everybody's past them. Nobody can see where the hell they are.
Right. What they've had to do, have you seen this, is where they have had to hire extra people to stand at the beginning
They
of
don't
each
have to
line.
hire. You make the sign 8 feet in the air.
Right, you put the sign up high, and it would,
Yeah.
well, it would end jobs. Except for that the thing is I like, at the airport, they're always concerned whether you're in the right line. There's a lot of, I need to see your ticket
Yes.
to see if you're eligible to be in this line or in that line. And I'm like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me because I'm always so early that, and I always get the pat down.
You got that today.
I got the pat down
What
today.
is what pulls you in that direction, or what wants
Two
them to do?
things. One is, I think if we're really concerned, everyone should get patted down. If we really think it's happening,
Okay.
if they're terrorists, let's pat everybody down, make sure everybody's not packing.
I don't know. The shirt you wore today, the T-shirt.
Oh, right.
It
It's
says
the-
"Everybody must die."
That
See
was
that
that was something.
that
And it
might be why they're like pulling you to the side.
Right. I was wearing my change into a truck shirt. I was wearing my Optimus Prime shirt, Transformer Obama hilarity that I've grown to love. But and the other thing with the TSA is I have a theory that it's all theater. Mm-hmm. And I want to be in theater. I always want to act. So I want to be in the production. So if we're going to do it, you
want everybody. You don't mind getting...
No, I go early anyway because I get really nervous. I don't like to ever cut it close.
Me neither.
I can't stand it. That's what gets my heart pumping, where I'm like, well, what if I miss it? Well, here's the thing. If I miss it, turns out there's another flight right after it. It'll be fine. But I can't stand the idea of it, and I go early.
Yeah, I get there early too, and it's partly because of the line anxiety. It's just
right,
in case
I don't know how long the line's going to be.
Exactly, you don't know what you're going to be dealing with.
It's true, but here's what I think is interesting is because the lines do drive you as mad as they drive you.
Mm-hmm.
That what I have witnessed is that you spend a good portion of your time making sure that your actions make sense. Like. Whenever
I try to be a citizen that cares about other citizens, and sometimes you don't know what it is, but I try to do the right thing. Yes.
Right. So you're just like, okay, is this the line?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I will stand in it, and then you're like, and I will be a sane person standing in, and that I think is it's funny for me, but I mean it's admirable that you're like, okay, well I want to make sure I'm doing this right, and I'm not skipping anybody. I'm not making anybody's life any harder than it has to be. Let's just do this.
I've got a couple of other line things. No order of importance.
Right.
But they can all make my brain snap.
Yeah.
Here's another TSA thing. You got the one guy that looks at your ticket.
Right.
Right. And does the stamp or whatever, and then you walk past that little weird flap.
Right. The stop.
The little flap that you think. Do I have to hold that, or is it going to hit the person behind me?
Yeah.
And then you walk the several feet to the X-ray machines, or whatever those things are called.
Right.
Well, the person who checks the ticket and sends you through, they are trained never to look over their shoulder to see if there's a glut of humanity between them and these X-ray machines.
Right.
They just keep pumping you through, and they don't care what happens behind their back. They never look over their shoulder and go, maybe I should stop letting these people through and let the slack out of this line because it's all mobbed up. They just keep pumping you through and pumping you through, and everybody's mobbing around, and you can't even find where the line is supposed to be to get up to the X-ray thing.
Right. You're stacked like, where are you going? Auschwitz? Yes. We're all just piled into the cars and and there's no real line. And, everyone knows that you want to get there first. But it's not.
I don't know where to go to be happy.
That's the name of the show.
Yeah. I need to find a place where lines are clear and.
Here's what I have actually taken to doing. And it actually is interfering with the rest of my life, but it is keeping me sane in things like lines. Whenever I'm in a line, I have my iPad. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I am not going to be served. This is not going anywhere quickly. I am going to look at my iPad until somebody is interested in moving me forward in this line. And it really does end up, it's sort of the game you play where you watch other people get on the plane.
Right.
Where it breaks up. I don't have to be driven mad. I can play some goofy Bejeweled or whatever to just keep my mind also busy but aware of the line.
Well, I understand that. And I can do that if the line is clear and I know nobody's jockeying to get in front of me. If it's a situation where I feel like while I'm playing Bejeweled, somebody's going to jump in front of me, I can't enjoy the game.
Oh, right.
I need the ropes. I need a rope on my right and a rope on my left. And then I know nobody's going to cut. Right,
because you don't mind standing in the line as long as the line is clear.
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
There was one other thing I was thinking. I've been to Disneyland with people or Disney World with people.
Yep.
Where they go up to the ride and go, let's go to get on this. and I'm trying to beg them, can we all be together when we walk through and get into this line? And they're like, no, just catch up to us. You know, like you're grabbing a coffee or a soda or something like that, and they go get in line, and they want you to, excuse me, you're way up to get. I hate doing that.
That just feels like you're skipping.
It feels like I'm skipping, and I don't want to have to explain to people. I'm with the people that are up there. I'm with the people that.
I just went to get a soda, and it was, you might as well just wait 2 more seconds while I get the soda.
I was on death row once. And, I ended up getting the governor called, but before I knew this, I knew.
I forget you're from Florida.
Yeah,
yes?
I was on death row.
Okay,
and I was supposed to be killed before there was a guy on the cell to my left, and they had mixed up. They had mixed up the line, and they go grab this guy, and I'm furious. I see them walking. I'm going, excuse me. There's an order to this.
Right.
I go tonight.
Right.
And, so.
I'm 72. He is clearly 73 or 74.
What I actually yelled was, I'm not happy.
Did we ever play, in Florida, I brought guillotine.
Yes. Yeah,
we played.
Which
is a game about lines.
I remember all of the.
It's the heads.
Yes.
It's the nobles' heads, that are in. It's,
they have to work their way to a certain thing.
To the ka-chunk. And you can change the order of the line. That's the entire game. Yeah. It's, your son really enjoyed that. Your daughter, not as much. She liked the spelling of the word murder. I've had a lot of games that were kind of based on death for some reason. I don't know why.
It was fun, though.
Yeah. I should have just brought Quirkle, which is, Idiot Scrabble. I don't know if you've ever played Quirkle.
Let me check my notes.
All right.
Let me see if there's another line.
Yeah, you got it. Is there a line straight up? Is there anything? Like, were you ever in line for the high dive?
Well, here's something that sort of has to do with the line. Yeah. My dad, we were at Disney World when we were kids, and my dad was in a car accident when he was in his early 20s, so he has like a very bad leg and a very bad hand, but he could walk around and stuff like that. I don't know why, but he wanted to go up a down escalator, and there was I don't know if he was. I don't know.
Screwing around.
I forget what he needed to get up there, and so we're all watching my dad get on and starts trying to run up a down escalator.
Yeah.
And he starts losing his, he starts getting tired.
Yeah.
But he's like tenacious and won't give up. So he's in the middle, and he's not gaining any ground.
Right.
But he refuses to give up. So he's just running in place.
Right.
In the middle.
Of the escalator.
In the middle of an escalator for like 5 minutes. Like, just give up on this, Dad, and come on down, and then we'll figure out where you think you need to be.
Way to get up there.
But he wouldn't quit, and he's just running in place, and we're all sort of embarrassed and sort of entertained. And then some security person came over and shut the thing off, to be nice to this crazy man.
Right.
And then
so that he could just...
So the thing would stop.
Yeah.
And my dad fell. He didn't know the guy was going to turn it off. And then my dad started yelling at the guy, going, why the hell did you turn off the escalator? Like, why would that need to be explained? Because
he clearly turned it off because you were running against the grain.
You would have been there stuck in perpetuity, Dad.
Right. There was no end to that. That's hilarious. Have you ever, I remember I once was in line to go off the high dive. And I got to the high dive, and then couldn't do it, couldn't jump.
Okay.
First time, had to come back down. That'll happen. What about when people leave a line? Is there any etiquette for that? How do you get out of a line? Just go under the rope, get out?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any issues with somebody who wants to give up their space that's ahead of you.
But best lines, you think, ropes. The velvet rope, or
some type of,
or just a painted...
It makes it clear. It makes it clear that this is where we're supposed to be. And then the gray area beyond that is, where does a line end? Let's say there's no more ropes and people are in line.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got 20 people in line, and then you got the last person, the 20th person. And now there's a person 50 feet away who's walking towards the line. Towards that line. Is that person who's 20 feet away the back of the line, or is the person who was 20th the back of the line when Joe Blow comes over from the side
Right.
and swoops in.
I got.
I don't know. Does the line what's the dotted line? Where's
it is an eyesight. It isn't like the longest. You can't start the line because you're in Indianapolis, and it's no. The guy Joe Blow coming from the side gets to be in front of.
So
whoever
you're
is.
okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that, but
yeah,
but that's
as long as it's not super close.
right.
And,
but then,
of
course, you're going to create the gray area of then what is 5 feet?
Right? Is it
the guy's 5 feet away and a guy comes up?
They're less than a foot apart, and Joe Blow scooches ahead of you, makes the corner, hugs the curve. I think that's kind of obnoxious, just because I think.
How about this one?
Yeah.
There's a big rope line, but it's not filled.
All right.
Okay, there's 100 foot of ropes, but only 20 feet of it is the line.
Somebody joins the end of the rope.
So somebody comes to the end of the rope line that's snaking around, is going to snake their way around and get to the back. But somebody else just comes up and climbs underneath the ropes.
Right.
Well, should they be behind you? You came in the official way.
Right.
Why do you get to cut in front of me? You're doing the uncool thing.
That is Yep. I'm pro letting that person who took the.
You think it's okay to
go
crawl underneath the
I say
the
it's
ropes?
okay to go underneath,
like a little monkey creature? It's like I'm doing it the correct way.
Then you let
Why?
that
Because
person
you're
go in front of you.
Huh?
Here's my thing. I don't want to go through the snake thing. I feel like a cattle going to slaughter sometimes with the snake thing, and I don't know what they're training me for, but I think that at the end of it, there's going to be tasering. But and so I sometimes scooch under the rope. But if I see somebody behind me who's doing the snake thing, when they get up to me, I always go, "You were ahead of me."
Okay, that's
just
fine.
To let it go.
And I'll scooch underneath the rope too, but unless the same thing. But if there's somebody who had already entered the proper way,
yes.
I think they get the right of way.
I think they do have the right of way. It's a big thing right away with the line because it has to be because it's all expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have the line that is very delineated, and then there's the expectations when things come in from the side, man. When things are and then all of a sudden they fork off, and you're like, well, aisle number 4 at the grocery store. All of a sudden it's open. Does the person who's next up in aisle number 3 pick up their items and go to 4? Or is it the person who has a cart? Do they go to 3? And
it's impossible to do that right because it has to be a zipper.
Yeah.
In other words, everybody's at one checkout lane.
Yeah.
And now they open the other checkout lane.
And you got gum. You got gum and soda in between. You can't just move over. You got to get out and come back in.
So they usually are cool enough to pick the person who's next to go, you come over here.
Yeah.
But everybody behind them, it's very murky. It's like, well, now who gets to go over there and who stays over here? And
right.
What
do you recommend? What do you recommend for people as a couple of rules for when they're thinking about getting in line, when they're thinking about...
I think the smartest thing to do would be look around and see if you literally see Brian Regan.
And then...
Because if you see me, do your best to do what you think is the civil,
right,
correct, proper thing. Because if you don't, I'm going to let you know about it.
You will be called upon it.
Yes.
You will be called to book.
Just try.
Just try.
You know what? I lived in New York City.
Okay.
I lived in New York City for 8 years. And there are all kinds of lines in New York. And you know what? They're fair. People don't dare cut in line in New York City. If it's a snaking thing, if it's a forking thing, whatever it is, everybody looks around and everybody lets the proper person go next.
Right.
And I like it because you are going to... You know how I say nobody backs me up? In New York, people will back you up.
And the person first in line will call the person out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do.
So because of that, there's a fear, and people will respect the line system, whatever it is.
Yep.
So I'm more comfortable in New York because of that.
Yeah, that is true about New York.
Here's another story. It has to do with moving to New York and starting to get used to trying to figure out how to be assertive and, don't let people step in front of you and that sort of thing. Okay, so I'm living in New York. I'm starting to get that under my belt.
Right.
I'm still traveling at the time, so I'm working in Columbia, Missouri or something like that. I have a rental car. I go to a mall.
Right.
And I park my car, and I'm walking to the entrance to a mall, and I see this guy walking sideways towards the door, and I'm walking towards the door, and I'm thinking, I was closer than him, and this guy's picking up his speed to get into the mall before me.
Right.
And I start bubbling. Like, all right, I'm going to have a little deal here.
Yeah. You get your New York aggro
I get my New
on.
York thing, and I'm getting ready to figure out what am I going to say. Like, hey, buddy, I was here first. The guy goes over to the door and opens it up for me.
Oh, there you go.
And says, after you. And I was just about to go, who the hell do you think you are? And I had to change to, oh, man, that's nice.
That's really nice.
Thank you. Thank you for being nice.
Yeah.
You know, I'm expecting the guy to be a jerk, and I was wrong.
Yep.
I was wrong.
That'll happen. And,
well,
Brian Regan, it's been an hour.
Jackie, I didn't think this would be able to go an hour, but
No, there's, and I'm sure there are stories of lines that have yet to be told. And, but I like the thought process that goes into every time you're like, it's a gathering of people. When will we organize ourselves to get whatever needs to be done?
just, it's the golden rule. Treat others the way you would like to be treated, and the example of this podcast is lines. Do what you think is best.
Excellent. Thanks for listening, folks. And go to @BrianReganComic on Twitter, probably on Instagram as well, and then BrianRegan.com for all tour dates and everything. Thanks for listening. Take care of each other out there. Bye.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?